Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is a market radar video for the week of January 20th. Now, today is actually the 19th, Martin Luther King's birthday. Futures markets are open on a shortened session. We close at 1:15, but as you can see on the screen, we are active right now, and you can see this each and every day here at DayTradingRadio.com. Right now, futures are holding strength. They're up 3. Nasdaq futures are up 9, and Dow futures up 18 right now. And going forward, I'm not seeing this as a very positive setup. By the end of the session, we could actually end it down a little bit lower. We seem to be kind of drifting here, but we're going to be talking more about what's going to happen this week and the effect of them on the markets. And I'm actually going to bring you really 2 great setups in this environment. But right now, the futures are going on. We're up a little, but this is all going to come down to later in the week. We have some big events that are lining up. So let's just get into taking a look at the big events. We're going to take a look at the S&P cash, and you can see we had a pretty bunch of 5-day pullback until Friday. We actually had a nice little push back up, and a couple of interesting things you're going to see on the chart. What appears to be this rising wedge pattern. And the rising wedge pattern did break down at once. We got oversold on the 60. It had a little pop and then rolled over, and you could see that on the 60 really clear. And we were actually following this. We follow this day in and day out. We did get that fast rotation here. We were kind of pulling back to that trend line, and we got a fast rotation back up. We had a nice bounce. The day was pretty impressive. But it brought us right back up to a pretty decent trend line, and this trend line really held up. And we turned back over and rotated back down. We continued to move down, and we kind of based down into this kind of another wedge pattern, this time a falling wedge. We got oversold, and what was interesting, that even though the hourly was oversold, we kind of had this big candlestick, and we started looking at some upside. The daily here got very close to being oversold, and at one point it looked like we were just about oversold, and then we had that bounce, and it seems now we're kind of holding off of that 1920 area. It's really 1848, but the possibility of this flat line and moving down is still there. I mean, we've kind of got extreme on these pullbacks. Whenever the daily is pulled back here, it's always been an opportunity in the market going out the last year or two. So we always watch that daily, and we're borderline. We're borderline of being oversold. I mean, so we could continue to move down. We could always get embedded here like we were embedded on the upside. But the big event, of course, is the ECB and the possibility of them implementing a QE program. And this has pretty much been the forecast for the last 6 months. So everyone, I think, does believe that is coming out. How is that going to come out? Well, that's going to be announced on Thursday. The market, will decide what it's going to do at that point, and probably before that point. We still have a few days before that. So there's going to be a lot of activity going on. So we're going to look at just technical levels here. First of all, take a look at that 60-minute time frame and see how fast we're rotating back up. So one good scenario is a little further push here to get people excited to the upside, and we can bring this all the way up in that 2040, and this on the cash, bring us up in that 2040 area. There's that really established downward trend line, so anywhere along that level as that price gets up to, we're going to have to deal with that. But again, that 60-minute time frame could easily get overbought if we have an early move up. And, if we do get up to that point, start to roll back over, that's a concern. It's going to be a volatile week. There's no doubt about it. We had China actually sell off today, Monday. It was, I think it was off 7%. It was a pretty big move. Chinese stocks died most in over 6 years, with a wide sell-off sweeping across the financial sectors as investors turned jittery over the latest move by securities regulators to clean up the margin trading business. All right, so that might just be a short-term event, but either way, the damage was done on that. We're not really being affected too much on the futures with this. And again, the futures here are starting to just kind of grind a little higher. Not much going on today, and we have a few more hours to go before we close down shop here in the futures, and we start it up again tomorrow. So, that's what we're looking at. A big event leading into Thursday. How is this going to play out? Is the market priced in this event? The wedge pattern is a big negative on my screen. This seems to be starting to get a little bit weaker here. If we take a look at this blue line here that represents this top trend line, we put a parallel trend line down here to this big candlestick down here. It kind of gives us, a kind of a measured move or just a parallel channel where we could actually see the market eventually come down to. First of all, there's a lot of things that we have to deal with: the 200-period moving average, some fib retracement levels. But I always keep these things on the chart just in case we find ourselves down to that level. The question is now, do we push back up? Do we actually start to rally? Is there something special out that's going to come out of the ECB that we have not taken into consideration, or that surprises the market to the upside, or is this all priced in? That's the big question. Right now, I would say 5 minutes, we have a little shot for some upside. I'm still kind of nervous about further downside if we roll over. It does seem like those levels could easily be taken out. We could easily roll over and head further down here, and even if before the end of the day today too. All right. Well, a couple other things here. We've been using the tradeometer with great success here at Day Trading Radio, and just even though the futures are in short in session today, they are still actually giving us some good signals here. We just had an NQ alert just before we had another one, gave us a nice bounce. This one just came out, alerted us. I have the NQ up here. You can see a little trend line here, a little pullback here. It's, I'd just be a little concerned. Going into the close today, we'll probably see a little further move down here. But we are getting a little oversold level on the NQs, right off that 200-period moving average. We have a nice downward channel here with a rising trend line. We're going to be watching that a little bit further. But we're going to get back into, I want to show you a couple stocks going into tomorrow. All right, I think that's going to be important also to see here. So, you know what? Normally I do a 2000 or beginning of the year best stock of the year pick, and there's a couple great stocks. I did the watch list for the members this week. They came out with a couple great setups, and here's a couple that I went over, and I just want to bring them to your attention here. The first one here is PANW, Palo Alto Networks. This is such a beautiful chart. It's a security stock, and everything's happening with the hackers and security. This is really a beautiful textbook flag. Great strength. The overall trend has been just very nice. I mean, we haven't pulled back to the 50-period moving average. Hasn't rotated back down. Normally, we like to get that perfect pullback, that oversold level, and a nice uptrending line. But this is looking pretty good. I would say this is one of my top bets for 2015, PANW. Very strong stock. It continues to look really good. The 60-minute time frame, you can actually see a nice channel that's playing out here, and it's starting to turn back up. Now, of course, the market here goes into corrective action. Usually, you start to see the lower tide, kind of sinking all ships along with it. But this kind of looks really good here. Another one here, of course, is Disney. That's a given. Disney has been a great-looking stock. I'm always in and out of Disney on these flags. It's a great flag stock. And we're, again, showing great strength, very close to the highs.
NQ tradeometer oversold.
You can hear the NQ here, tradeometer oversold. That was the second one. I was going to give you one more that was setting up pretty good here. Let me bring that to you. And you know what? I decided to show you another security stock here, FireEye. It's interesting. It was a nice base here. We're concentrated on this flag here. Got a nice pop, and it seems like we're trying to flag out again here. It's an interesting one. It's another security stock. It seems like a secondary flag. We pushed up against the 200-period moving average. This is kind of a surprise. I wasn't going to show you this one, but I was decided to look back at it. It's a 60-minute time frame here. Set us up pretty good. Going into the next, going into this week, we have this again, a nice little flag again with the 60. And the 60 is usually that time frame we look at for, kind of zooming in and kind of, dialing in the trade here. Because the daily, you can see a nice daily flag, but we want to be able to get that 60-minute rotation back. And once that 60 starts to turn back up, that's usually a good opportunity on that flag. All right, so that's something we're going to look at. But again, it's going to be a very busy week. I wanted to put a short market radar video out for you. I haven't put one out in a while. We've just been so busy here at Day Trading Radio on the back end and some of the new products and stuff. So I'm going to try to get some more videos out to you as we go. Maybe this week we'll do a couple market radar videos. But other than that, again, expect a very, very interesting week with the possibility of just getting a little further pop up here and then a rollover. And with that rollover, we're probably going to have to change the strategy a little. I do like the, of course, trading the pro short shares, the SPXU, and some other ones, which, have that inverse effect. So here's your daily on this. And even though we're extending this, getting a little extended, which is inverse of the market, which is getting oversold, we are getting a little push up here. And there is cases where the market will break down, and this will be embedded, where the market will, the S&P will be embedded also. So, back here you can actually see that kind of a choppy, embedded stochastic as it stayed under the 20. Here we're just fighting with us. Market here on Friday popped up, so you can see the reaction on the SPXU with a big down candle. But this is still flagging out, so the possibility of this following through, if the market is going to break down here, this is one of the ones I like to follow. And any of the other short ETFs, sometimes the individual stocks here could get actually some positive news inside of a negative market, so they're not always the best bet. So we like to pay attention to that, and sometimes even the VIX is a great equalizer here. We like trading the VIX a lot, and that's been showing some good strength as it pushes back up here. So that's it. Again, Monday, the market here pulling back to that trend line right now. We are pulling back here right to a trend line and pushing back down. I have a little, again, a little nervous feeling we're going to start off in the red tomorrow. So that's just a guess that we start off in the red tomorrow, and the market here starts to take on that very volatile nature to it. Actually, the futures here are just turning red again, but we're right off of this trend line. All right, so that's it. We'll see you tomorrow in the markets, bright and early, 8 o'clock, daytraderradio.com, and I'm out.
NQ Tradeometer